So if you don't know, 2025 hosted the very last BabsCon. BabsCon was one of the most popular My Little Pony conventions in the United States, especially after BronyCon came to an end. But it didn't seem to end because of just how strenuous putting on a convention is, but because they ironically didn't see the Brony fandom as a viable horse to back, sort of half-assing their way out the door, even not really caring when every musician pulled out of the convention after they unfairly fired Pinkaboo, just so they can return completely rebranding themselves as a furry convention. My feelings about the furry fandom and the Brony fandom's relationship is a topic for its own video, but it does remind me of the concept of leaving a fandom, and how the Brony fandom specifically is the most emotional when it comes to things like this. But most people have more than just one interest in life, and to dedicate yourself to just one thing can really ruin your enjoyment of it, which got me to think about the major figures that did leave the fandom, or just stopped making content for it. I'm gonna go over who they were, why they left, and what they're doing now.
Seriously, new cartoon crush unlocked!
I don't think Saber Spark needs any introduction. You know who he is, one of the biggest cartoon commentary channels out there. Some people love him, some people think he's annoying, some people just don't care, but I'm pretty sure a decent number of people know his previous involvement in the Brony fandom. But I always found this infamy to be a little bit weird, not because a big YouTuber used to be a Brony, but because he was never a Brony channel. He started his channel with a Brony documentary before doing a variety of skits, most of which had nothing to do with My Little Pony, after which it was smooth sailing from there, just becoming your normal cartoon commentary channel, covering both popular and obscure animation, the latter of which I really appreciate because he introduced me to one of my favorite movies, The Adventures of Mark Twain. Saber's participation in the fandom wasn't really in making videos, but collaborative efforts, like being a special guest in pony conventions, or participating in Brony's React videos. So there isn't much to talk about. He didn't leave the fandom, he just didn't make content for it. Is what I would be saying if over 40 My Little Pony videos weren't completely wiped from his channel. I get that some of these are very low effort shitposts, but there were some that went on for a couple of minutes, and could have been legitimate content that people valued. God damn it, it doesn't help the fact that he has now rebranded himself to be a furry, and sometimes makes these jokes about how cringy it was to be a Brony. Saber, I like your videos, man, but come on.
I love little girls.
In a similar vein to Saber Spark, we have Digi Bro. Digi Bro, or now known by her new online alias, Trixie the Gold Witch, was one of the first My Little Pony commentators. As a matter of fact, Trixie would proclaim that she started the entire genre of cartoon commentary videos on YouTube. Her beginnings with the fandom date all the way back to 2012, where we would find the usual traditions of a Brony commentator that we see today. After about 2 years of making commentary videos on My Little Pony, she would shift gears and start to make videos on anime. The last My Little Pony related video she would make would be in 2014, with a BronyCon vlog. Not too long after, she would make a Q&A video where she would specifically request no My Little Pony questions. However, she wouldn't just go off into the sunset under a new niche. She was a degenerate anime fan, specifically one that would advocate for lolicon. This would cause a splinter between her and the rest of the community, and make her into a pariah for years, an easy shorthand for making fun of lolly fans. She now currently still uploads on her channel, but rather inconsistently.
But Soldier, they got the loaded wings!
Next up is probably the most radical glow up on here, Piemations. Piemations started off his career on YouTube with the Meet the Amazing series, a parody of the popular Steam game Team Fortress 2, which ended up developing its own unique story. But when you're a Team Fortress 2 fan, it's not too long until you become a My Little Pony fan. Despite only making 5 My Little Pony animations in his larger catalog, giving any inch to the Brony fandom and they will take a mile. Piemations would actually end up making 2-ish attempts at a My Little Pony series. First being My Little Doomsday, which lasted only 2 episodes before he changed gears to the Elements of Cringe. The Elements of Cringe. The Elements of Cringe. Needless to say, that only lasted 1 episode. Mike, which I kinda forgot to tell you guys that his name is actually Mike, in general just seemed to have lost interest in doing full-blown parody series, like his Meet the Amazing series, to which he cancelled his Overwatch iteration of it after only 2 episodes. He would switch gears to make a few original animated series with a few parodies sprinkled in there. His original content, in my opinion, is far superior than his parodies, such as Sheriff Hayseed, Mike and Zach, and of course Suction Cup Man. I quote these videos to myself all the time, they're genuinely amazing. Recently, Mike did a very important announcement when he would talk about the severe wrist pain he was experiencing from animating. This could have actually ended his channel, but he surprisingly kept up the pace and was able to still upload videos. Piemations' current videos is the most hearty recommendation I can give in this video, and it's the sort of indie animators we need to prop up more. However, I would be lying if I said I wasn't personally irked by his Final Pony video, not because it's a genuinely earnest video that reaches a handout to the Brony community, that he is just as let down at himself for not being able to complete things he promised, because as an animator you don't get the luxury of being able to do everything you want. And in the process of animation, consistent collaboration is key, and sometimes there are just changes to people's lives outside of their control. Nothing in the video itself annoyed me, not even canonically killing off Pendoodle at the very end of it. What I am annoyed by is the fact that he immediately turned into a furry by the next video. God! Alright, I'm fine, I'm just joking, Is that another fucking 5 AM at Freddy's video?
The famous Power Rangers Red, right?
Tommy Oliver, no, not that one, probably had the most infamous falling out of the entire Brony fandom. Tommy Oliver was another pony analysis in the community. He was one of the most passionate and opinioned people in the pony fandom, and if you can take a guess, opinions aren't really welcomed in the Brony community. He fell out of interest due to him not being a fan of the direction the series was going post season 2. Which really? Seasons 3 and 4 is where you draw the line? Whatever, not trying to yum your yuck, man. After a lot of negativity from the Brony fandom, he would ultimately choose to part ways, deleting his channel and began focusing on game design. He currently uploads rather infrequently on his second channel, Pop Strikers, and as somebody who's been studying game design for the past few years now, I'm very excited to see what he has cooking up. However, it was like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire showing up in Spider-Man No Way Home when he appeared in the Bronies React for the Generation 4 finale. It was sweet, it was cathartic, it was nostalgic. But most importantly, it thrilled me.
We're waiting every night to finally home and right.
The Living Tombstone was sort of the figure that kicked off this entire conversation of leaving the fandom. The Living Tombstone is an electric rock duo that produces a variety of original music and nerdcore music, but it was originally started by only one guy, Yoav Landau, who got his foot in the door in music production thanks to his early tenure making songs for the Brony fandom, many still iconic to this day. I'm pretty sure most of you know September, Rarity Tears, and of course his remix of Discord, which is really funny seeing people rediscover it, falling in love with it, and only to learn that it's about My Little Pony. But I can't imagine being any artist, especially a musician, and be expected to make pony videos for your entire career. It wouldn't be too long until he branched out into other topics for his music. There was a little meltdown over people who thought he left the fandom, which he didn't, he's just an artist who has other avenues to take. His My Little Pony music just became a part of his discography. He still even unapologetically performs Discord at concerts. Funnily enough, he actually had a more public breakup with a different fandom, Five Nights at Freddy's, where in his fourth and intended final FNAF song, he would use it as a platform to express his frustrations with the community. Anyway, they made 3 more FNAF songs after this. His first Five Nights at Freddy's song was actually played in the credits of the FNAF movie. Where is my nostalgic pandering? Come on, dance monkey, dance! It's always furries or Five Nights at Freddy's, or sometimes both. Get away from my family, now! It can't possibly get any worse from here, right? Right? Oh no. I originally wanted to end this with the Living Tombstone as I found this to be the most important one to go over. However, something a lot more interesting came across my radar. I need to talk about EileMonty. Okay, so I'm going a little bit off the cuff with this one because this is the most ridiculous series of events I have ever seen. So I'm pretty sure most of you watching knows who EileMonty is. A very talented singer, but also provides voice work for a variety of My Little Pony fan projects, specifically with her unique take of Octavia Medley. Her take on Octavia would be so ubiquitous to the character that when she was finally given a speaking role in the show, her official voice really tried to emulate EileMonty's. So let's check out her channel today, let's see what she's doing long after the My Little Pony fandom hit its prime. Where is it? Where's her content? What do you mean she joined a florist? How do you join a florist? That doesn't even make sense grammatically. Is that code? Is she in a cult? No, worse. She's a VTuber. Okay, so if you don't know, it's common practice that as a VTuber, you keep your personal life very private. When you sign on to one of these groups, your personal presence effectively has to be wiped. It's in order to help sell the illusion of this Gunnar bait sloth character actually being real, because ew, real women existing? Gross. But this is the part that confuses me. She still has an online personal presence. She still posts photos of herself. She still releases music individually. She even includes it in her farewell post. So like, she's not hiding this from them. I mean, yeah, signing on to become a VTuber automatically gets you millions of subs and donations and whatever. Get that bag, I don't care. But like, I just can't get my head around the stipulations. So I can't really come up with an answer as to why she would do this that isn't incredibly pedantic. It's not like her content was problematic except for that one time. Even then, some of the less savory content she put out isn't really well known or easy to find. So I just can't get it. I just don't get it. Whatever, I get it, it's a stable career, but where's the love? So there we have it, the bronies that quote-unquote left the fandom. Some obviously more dramatic than others, but most are just experiencing a natural thing, having different interests. It's the classic saying, if you truly love something, then you will learn to let it go, or else you risk losing any enjoyment you had of it. I wish the best for most of these former bronies, and I hope they see further success participating in the things they currently enjoy. There were so many people I wanted to cover in this video, like Eve, formerly known as Brainstorm Alex, as well as Jenny Nicholson, but I just didn't have time, or just didn't think it was that interesting to talk about, so I'll just leave it up to you guys. What other prominent members of the Brony fandom left in recent years? And how do you feel about leaving fandoms in general? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Anyway, that's all the time I have for today. Thank you for watching. I've been May, and I'll see you next time.